Welcome to today's Explainer. Look, we're diving straight into this one today because we're unpacking a breaking news story that's just incredibly heavy. It sent absolute shockwaves, not just through the NFL, but really across the entire sports world. We're looking at a completely unimaginable ordeal currently surrounding Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy and his family. The details here are tough, no doubt about it. But walking through the facts step by step is going to help us wrap our heads around what's happening in a very sensitive, rapidly developing situation. At the heartbreaking center of this story is a prominent, highly respected NFL family, just totally torn apart by an unimaginable act of domestic violence. Down in a quiet suburban neighborhood, police walked into a devastating scene. The victim of this shooting, Eric Bieniemy's wife, Mia, and the suspect they took into custody is their very own son. It's exactly the kind of headline that just stops you dead in your tracks. So today, we're going to piece together everything we know so far, relying strictly on confirmed reports to understand this tragic sequence of events. To figure out how we got here, let's look at the details of the incident. When we trace the timeline laid out by the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office, the sequence of events is just harrowing. This all went down on a Sunday evening in Ashburn, Virginia, specifically the 20,000 block of North Park Drive. Right around 7:32 p.m., a 911 call comes in, and Sheriff Mike Chapman confirmed a truly gut-wrenching detail. That call was actually made by 57-year-old Mia Bieniemy herself, right after she'd suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Shortly after that desperate call, deputies rushed in, secured the scene, and got Mia straight to a nearby hospital for emergency care. And it was right there, at that secured scene, where they arrested the suspect, identified as 27-year-old Elijah Zion Bieniemy, Eric and Mia's son. Now, investigators are still working to piece together a motive, but these are the hard, confirmed facts from that Sunday night. And the reaction from the community? It's just total, palpable shock. When something like this shatters a quiet neighborhood, the disbelief is so profound. NBC Washington spoke with a neighbor, and they shared a really poignant thought, describing the Bienemys simply as good Christian people. It really grounds the whole thing, doesn't it? It steps away from the crazy news cycle and reminds us of the massive human toll here. The community is completely reeling. That same neighbor mentioned seeing Eric and Mia outside just doing yard work a week prior. It's a jarring reminder of how fast normalcy can just vanish. Which brings us to exactly where things stand today. Let's move into the condition and legal charges. We absolutely have to start with the most critical and, honestly, the most positive update we have right now. According to both police and the Chiefs organization, Mia Bieniemy is in stable condition. Thank goodness. When Chiefs head coach Andy Reid addressed the media, he didn't hold back at all. He has such deep affection for her, calling Mia a saint and literally one of God's greatest blessings. He made it crystal clear that anyone who knows her knows that's just a fact. It really captures her character and the sheer amount of respect she commands within that extended Chiefs family as they all rally around her recovery. But man, we have to contrast that hopeful medical update with the stark legal reality facing the other side of this family dynamic. 27-year-old Elijah Zion Bieniemy is currently sitting in the Loudoun County Adult Detention Center, being held entirely without bond. The severity of the 3 felony charges he's facing, they really speak for themselves. Malicious wounding, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and discharge of a firearm inside a dwelling. It is a profoundly serious legal situation, and it's one that's going to slowly play out in the courts over the coming months. As we track that legal process, the big date you need to circle on your calendar is August 31st. That's when Elijah's preliminary hearing is scheduled. So if you're following this case, this is your legal anchor point. That's the day we might finally learn more from investigators about what actually went down that Sunday evening and get a clearer picture of the formal legal trajectory moving forward. Now, while that legal process just begins to churn, a massive professional football team had to react in real time. Let's look at how the Chiefs organization responds. To really grasp the immediate chaos of that Sunday, you have to picture the sheer geographical nightmare the family was dealing with when the news broke. On one hand, you've got St. Joseph, Missouri, at Missouri Western State University. That's where the Chiefs hold their rigorous training camp and where 56-year-old Eric Bieniemy was hard at work. On the other hand, way over in Ashburn, Virginia, is the family residence where the incident actually happened. So the second he gets this devastating news, Bieniemy has to drop everything mid-camp, navigate this massive distance, and fly all the way back to Virginia just to be by his wife's side during her most critical hours. Professionally speaking, the Chiefs had to pivot on a dime to cover for his sudden, obviously necessary absence, because right now there is zero timetable for Eric Bieniemy's return. None. So they're splitting up the interim offensive play-calling duties. Pass game coordinator Joe Blameyer and offensive line coach Andy Heck are both stepping up to take on those vital responsibilities. The organization has officially asked for privacy, and Andy Reid has been very vocal about making sure Eric has a great support system, saying they're just going to take things a day at a time. The whole team is pulling together professionally so their coach can focus 100% on his family. To truly understand the massive void left by his sudden absence at camp, we really need to contextualize who this man is to the sport. Let's examine Eric Bieniemy's coaching legacy. When you look at his career evolution, it's totally clear why he's considered one of the absolute best offensive minds in the NFL right now. His legacy is huge. Rewind back to 1990. He was a standout All-American running back at Colorado, even finishing third in the Heisman voting. After grinding out a 9-year NFL playing career, he made the jump to coaching in 2001. But it's really that stretch from 2018 to 2022 that cemented his elite status. Serving as the Chiefs' offensive coordinator, he was wildly instrumental in their Super Bowl 54 and 57 victories. Then, after a quick stint with the Washington Commanders and UCLA, he makes this triumphant return to the Chiefs just this past January to reclaim his old role. And if you want to know just how much weight that January return carried in the locker room, look no further than superstar tight end Travis Kelce. He literally cited Bieniemy's return to the staff as a key reason he chose not to retire. I mean, think about that. His presence, his steady leadership, his absolute offensive genius. These are load-bearing pillars for the current Kansas City Chiefs roster. He's not just a coach, he is a central figure in their continued pursuit of greatness, which makes his sudden, tragic departure from camp hit the players that much harder. Which leaves us with this one final, lingering question. How will this devastating family tragedy reshape the future of one of the NFL's greatest coaching minds and the team that relies on him so heavily? A career defined by hard-fought victories, leadership, and Super Bowl glory is now completely overshadowed by the most difficult, unimaginable test of his personal life. As we keep following Mia's recovery and the legal proceedings facing their son, it is a profound, heavy reminder of the fragile line between public triumph and private tragedy. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and we'll be sure to monitor the facts carefully as they continue to develop.